Okay, let's jump right in. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something pretty crucial if you're in the data world. What really sets apart the top Matillion developers?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've been looking at this article, Matillion Developer Skills. What sets top talent apart?
Exactly. And our goal here is to figure out what skills you actually need to go beyond just using Matillion, to really drive business value.
To understand what that top tier talent looks like.
Because the starting point, and the article hits this hard, is that just knowing your way around the Matillion UI, well, it's not enough anymore, is it?
No, definitely not. We've all seen pipelines that, sure, they run, but maybe they're clunky or expensive or they break easily. That's not ideal.
Right. Matillion itself, it's a fantastic tool, super important for cloud data integration, sits in loads of modern data stack.
Absolutely critical. But, like the source says, the tool's only as good as the person wielding it.
Uh-huh. It's that developer skill that makes the difference between it works and, wow, this is efficient and adds real value.
So the foundation, according to the article, is obviously mastering Matillion itself. You do need to know the connectors, orchestration, the transformation bits, best practices.
That's the baseline. Gotta have that.
Yeah, that's your entry ticket. But then the article shifts gears pretty quickly.
Okay, so if that's just step one, what does set the best apart?
It boils down to two main things, really. Deeper technical skills outside of just Matillion and a more strategic mindset.
Deeper technical skill, like what specifically are we talking about?
Well, first and foremost, SQL. Real SQL fluency.
Ah, yeah. Makes sense.
Because, underneath that nice visual interface, Matillion is generating and running SQL against your cloud data warehouse.
So you need to understand what's happening under the hood to actually optimize it or fix it when things go wrong.
Precisely. You can't just rely on the drag and drop. And that ties right into the next point, understanding the cloud native platform.
Meaning knowing the specifics of Snowflake or Redshift or BigQuery.
Exactly. How does your specific warehouse handle data? How does it run queries? What impacts the cost? Knowing that directly influences how you design your Matillion jobs to be, well, efficient and cost-effective.
Okay, so strong SQL, deep cloud platform knowledge. What else did the article flag as really important?
It called out a few other key areas: solid data modeling principles, thinking about how the data needs to look for analytics, not just moving it.
Right, designing for the end use.
Then scripting skills,
Yeah.
Python, Bash, whatever.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the built-in components won't cover every single weird edge case.
You need that flexibility for custom stuff.
Yeah. And API integration skills, pulling data from sources that maybe don't have a standard connector yet. And a big one, a performance-first mindset.
Always thinking about speed and cost from the get-go.
Exactly. Not as an afterthought.
Wow, okay. So when you combine that core Matillion knowledge with that kind of technical depth, it sounds like a completely different ballgame.
It really is. And the impact, as the article points out, is huge. You get pipelines that aren't just working. They're efficient. They scale well. They're built with cost in mind.
That's how Matillion stops being just a tool and becomes like a real competitive edge for the business.
That's the idea.
So thinking about you listening, how does this apply? The article kind of splits the advice, right? For leaders and for practitioners.
Yeah, it does. If you're leaving a team, the message is, look beyond just Matillion on a resume.
Don't just tick the box.
Right. Find the people who show these deeper skills. The ones who instinctively optimize, who design reusable workflows, who can troubleshoot beyond just the Matillion job, maybe at the warehouse level.
That's the kind of talent that builds robust, scalable systems that don't cause constant headaches.
Exactly. And if you're a data pro yourself, looking to level up,
What's the roadmap?
the article basically lays it out. Get serious about skills beyond the UI. Focus on SQL tuning for your cloud platform. Learn data modeling for analytics. Get comfortable with scripting for those tricky bits. Start thinking like a cloud architect when you approach integration problems.
It's about broadening that perspective significantly.
Totally.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the big takeaway seems to be that the future here, even with amazing tools like Matillion, really belongs to the developers who bring that strategic thinking and deep technical skill across the whole cloud ecosystem. It's not just about knowing the tools buttons.
It's about understanding the context, the why, and the how underneath it all so you can really make the tool perform.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If the real leverage comes from the skills behind the tool, from that wider understanding, what does that imply for how we should be measuring expertise right now? And maybe more importantly, How should we prepare ourselves or our teams for a future where the tools themselves are always evolving? Something to chew on.